Everybody has an opinion. Ask 10 executives why some companies consistently outperform everybody else, and you'll get 10 beautifully packaged LinkedIn answers. It's the strategy, it's the people, it's the culture, it's innovation, it's AI. And next year, it'll probably be quantum blockchain mindfulness, because corporate fashion changes every 6 months. Reality doesn't. For almost 20 years, some of the smartest researchers in the world have been trying to answer a much simpler question. What actually makes companies perform better? Not in TED Talks, not on LinkedIn, in real life. So they studied thousands of companies, then tens of thousands, across different industries, across countries, across decades. And the funny thing is that all kept arriving at mostly the same conclusion. Let's start with probably the biggest one, the World Management Survey. Nicholas Bloom from Stanford, John van Reenen, then at the London School of Economics and later MIT, Rafaela Staden from Harvard, not exactly three random guys with podcasts. They studied more than 20,000 companies around the whole world, and their conclusion? Companies with better management systems consistently outperform companies with worse ones. Higher productivity, higher profitability, higher growth rate, better survival, on the same markets, with the same economy, often the same industry, but different management systems, different results, completely. Then there is McKinsey, different methodology, different researchers, different clients, same conclusion. The companies that win aren't the ones with the most brilliant people. There are the ones with ordinary people, those can consistently make good decisions because the whole operation model supports them. Think about that. If your company needs superheroes to function, congratulations. You don't have a business, you have the Avengers. And if Iron Man resigns on Friday, good luck on Monday to you. Deloitte says something very similar. The most effective executives don't spend their lives solving problems every day. They design organizations that solve most problems even before they could occur. And that's a completely different job. Bain, again, different research, same story. The companies that scale successfully have something in common. Very clear roles, clear accountability, repeatable decisions, repeatable execution. Notice something? Nobody's talking about charismatic CEOs. Nobody's ever talking about motivational speeches. Nobody's talking about 17 leadership competences laminated in HR. They're talking about systems. Even Google accidentally proven the same thing. Project Aristotle. They wanted to know why some teams perform better than the others. Maybe intelligence? No. Experience? No. Seniority? No. The best teams had something much more boring that we could even imagine. Clear expectations, clear interaction, clear way of working. In other words, a system. Now that's an interesting part. These researchers weren't trying to prove each other right. Different countries, different methodologies, different industries, and even different decades. And yet, they all keep pointing at the same direction. Successful companies don't depend on exceptional people. They build exceptional systems. Now, I've spent over 25 years inside different businesses. Small, huge, international companies after acquisitions, sales organizations, executive teams. And after reading all this research and comparing it with what I've seen and done in real life, I realized something. Everybody uses different terminology, different frameworks, different diagrams that consultants charge ridiculous money to explain, but underneath, they're describing the same machine. So I built my own framework and I call it CARE. Not because executives need hugs, no. Because there are 4 conditions. It's an acronym, CARE. And all these conditions make any management system actually working. And before I explain this framework, we need to answer a much more interesting and maybe simple question for some of you, but for most of you not. What the hell is the system anyway? Because everybody loves the word. We are building systems. You can hear that here and there every time. We have systems. We need more systems. No, you don't. Most companies have software. Some have procedures. Some have very expensive PowerPoint presentations. And these all are not any systems. These are just decorations. And here is my definition. A system exists when the results stops depending on a particular person. That's it, the bottom line. That's the whole definition. Everything else is either optional or just a method of achieving the ultimate goal. Think about it. If your CFO goes on holiday and nobody knows how cash forecasts works, you don't have a finance system, you have Steve. If your head of sales leaves and revenue immediately falls apart, you don't have a sales system, you have Sarah. If marketing stops because one person forgot to approve a LinkedIn post, you've got the point, right? It's not a department, but it's just a single point of failure. And here's the uncomfortable truth for you. Most companies don't scale. It's not because they're too dependent on talented people. They fail to scale because they are too dependent on very specific talented people. That's a huge difference. Talent is great. Dependency on a specific individual is crazily expensive and risky. So how do you know whether a system actually exists? Not whether somebody says it exists, whether it actually exists. This is where my framework comes in. CARE, care, 4 conditions. Miss one and eventually everything starts falling apart. So the first letter C, configuration. The first one is configuration. This is about structure, roles, responsibilities, decision rights, authority, who owns what, who decides what, and who is accountable for what. So it looks simple, right? Except walk into almost any company and ask 3 people who owns pricing, and you probably get 4 different answers. That's not any governance, that's improvisation theater. And when configuration is weak, people don't solve problems. They negotiate ownership of the problem every single time. The second one is alignment, and alignment is much bigger than goals. Everybody says we are well aligned. Really? Let's test it, how your goals are aligned among the executive team. Ask 5 executives the company's 3 biggest priorities for this quarter. If you get 5 different answers, you are not aligned. You are just attending the same meeting. Alignment means everybody understands where we are going, why are we going there, what matters most right now, and equally important, how we make decisions when priorities collide, because they always do. The third letter is R, renew. And this one is, again, almost nobody talks about. A system cannot be static. You cannot build it once and for all. You cannot carve it in stone, okay? Market change, competitors change, technology change, people change, customers change. If your management system doesn't evolve, it slowly becomes corporate archaeology. You know the type. We've always done it this way. Fantastic. People used to use fax machines. Renew means the system regularly questions itself. What stopped working? What should change? What should disappear for good? And what should be automated? What should never have existed in the first place? Because companies don't become bureaucratic overnight. They become bureaucratic one untouched process at a time. And the letter number 4 is E, execution. Finally, the most important part, execution. Probably the most misunderstood word in management, in the whole management. Execution is not people working hard. Execution is a mechanism that makes work happen consistently, without chasing, without reminding, without 15 friendly follow-ups. Have you got any last week? Without a CEO sending messages at 11:47 p.m. saying, just checking where we are. If your business runs on reminders, you don't have execution, you have babysitting. And now there's something really important. Care is fractal. It exists at every single level. The company, the commercial function, finance, marketing, sales, a department, a team, even a single recurring process. Every level needs configuration, alignment, renew, and execution. Miss one element, and that level becomes the bottleneck. It doesn't matter how brilliant the CEO is. You can't build a predictable company on unpredictable pieces. Now, there's one final test. The simplest one, the most brutal one probably. Remove the leader for 2 weeks. Not forever, just 2 weeks. No calls, no WhatsApp, no Slack, no Zoom, no email, nothing. What happens if everything is slowing down? There are a few questions. Fine, but if everything stops completely, congratulations, you haven't built a system, you've built dependency. And dependency is the exact opposite to leadership. Now, here's why this matters so much to fractional executives. Because for us, for fractional execs, this isn't just good management, it's survival, literally. So, why am I talking about fractional executives, by the way? Because they're the ultimate stress test. You can't bullshit your way through a full-time executive job for quite a while. Seriously, you can look busy, spend your life in meetings, answer emails at midnight so everyone thinks you are committed, become the official company firefighter. Some people build entire careers on that. Congratulations, you are not indispensable because everything catches fire unless you are around. That's not a badge of honor, that's an architectural defect. Serious dysfunction trying to show up as a job security. Now try doing that in 5 companies at the same time. You simply can't. It's impossible. Physics becomes involved. You have exactly 24 hours a day, and the model itself doesn't work if every decision needs you, if every problem wants you to participate, if every conflict lands on your desk, if you're not a fractional executive in this case, you are 5 overloaded full-time executives squeezed into one small calendar. That business model dies extremely quickly. So a real fractional CFO doesn't build budgets by himself. They build a budgeting system. A real fractional CRO doesn't help closing every strategic deal, even strategic. They build a sales system that closes deals consistently. By the way, that sales system can use a full-time CEO of the company, but not every time CRO. A real fractional CMO does the proof every campaign. They build a marketing engine that keeps producing demand. You see the pattern? The product isn't your expertise. The product is a system that keeps producing results after you've left the meeting. And here's the biggest mindset shift. Your job isn't to solve problems. Your job is to eliminate categories of problems. If the same problem appears every week, you don't have a difficult business, you have unfinished work, because somebody solved the symptom instead of fixing the machine. This is where I separate executive work into 2 buckets: maintenance and high impact. Maintenance is what fills corporate calendars: approvals, escalation, status meetings, reminders, quick questions, Slack messages, Teams messages, emails, more meetings to discuss why the previous meetings didn't produce decisions. Corporate theater, or rather corporate circus, is an industry of its own. And high impact is completely different. It's not so, I cannot say it's a show, okay, because it's changing the operating model, it's changing incentives, it's redesigning the decision-making process, it's fixing the governing system, the whole governance, building dashboards that prevent surprises instead of explaining them. It's automating, it's simplifying, it's removing complexity and creating systems that don't need you tomorrow. That's executive work. Everything else is just an expensive administration. And here's the irony. The more successful you become as an executive, the less important you become. Not just look, genuinely become less important for those particular processes. That sounds a bit offensive for some of you, and that was actually the goal. Because if your company becomes more dependent on you every year, you haven't built a leadership. You've built a hostage situation. That's exactly why I created Fractional CXO Blueprint. You are on this channel right now, most probably. I didn't build it because the world needs another online course. Sure it doesn't. God knows we have enough videos with smiling people drawing circles on whiteboards. The world doesn't need more information. Google already had that information, ChatGPT had information, YouTube has multitude information sources. Information was never the bottleneck. Transformation is. And that's why the motto of my program is simple: transformation, not information. We don't watch videos and hope life gets better. We build a new professional identity. Together we transform experienced executives into successful fractional CXOs. We define the value you can actually sell. We turn decades of experience into offers that companies understand and are willing to buy. We build a client acquisition system, a sales system, a delivery system, and a contract renewal system. And eventually, for some of you, we can even transform your new fractional executive practice into the whole business where other people are doing the job. Because my goal isn't to help you escape employment. My goal is to help you stop selling your time and start selling something bigger. Forever. If you are thinking about becoming a fractional executive, or maybe you've already started and you're wondering whether this path can actually replace your corporate salary, I've built something specially for you. Under this video, you'll find a link to my Fractional Calculator. It's free. It will estimate what your income could look like based on your experience, positioning, and the number of clients you decide to work with. No motivational bullshit, just numbers. Go play with it. It's fast, it's free, it's fascinating. And you may discover that the safest career isn't the one where somebody can fire you before lunch. The safest career is the one where no single company controls your future. I'll leave you with one final thought here. The world doesn't have a shortage of experienced executives. It has a shortage of executives who know how to build systems. And these people will always be in demand. See you in the fractional transformation journey, where you'll learn to build systems, sell systems, and scale systems, including your own.